back when it was still 108, DJ wrote a story about some coaches that could have been sponsored by Johnson and Johnson because it was on Lorena's Kevin Johnson and University's Kaeron Johnson. They're both stepping into first-year situations, pretty good programs, and both are having good seasons. So the Leopards are 3-2 overall, 1-0 in district after winning a wild shootout game with Cameron Yo last week. University, who Chad covered last week, 4-1, also 1-0 in district. They beat Colleen Chaparral. So add to those two, Chris Lancaster over at Robinson doing a good job in his first season. The Rockets are 4-1 as they go into their final non-district game against Waxahachie Life. So I'm calling this version of the podcast the Taking Sides version of the podcast, kind of like a game show. I'm asking you to take sides. So out of these three first-year coaches, who has done the most impressive job?
Lancaster.
Really?
Robinson. Look, the situations at Lorena University, I don't feel like were in a state where anybody had to panic. Especially since, I mean, like at Lorena, Kevin Johnson had already been there for a while. He had been an assistant coach. He was a principal. People knew him. He knew this, he had already seen how things were working out and, knew the kids and everything. So I don't think that the transition there was drastic by any means. Like, I feel like they're just doing the work. The same thing at University, even though Kaeron Johnson was coming over from Midway, a lot of the assistant coaches were the same as they were when Kent Laster was there. And I feel like, Laster did a pretty good job of setting a foundation there that has continued to carry over. We kind of felt like those two teams were going to be pretty solid this year, despite the coaching change. Robinson hasn't been good in years. And I'm not just saying that,
It's been since Tommy Allison was there. And now I think you make a very fair point. Like, I didn't even think about my own answers to these questions just because I've been kind of busy. And when you said Lancaster so fast, I had to think about it for a second, but you're absolutely right. I mean, he's their third coach in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah. Like, Mike Ludlow had to have left for a reason. Like, he was only there for a year for a reason, right? And I don't know if it was just not a good fit or maybe the situation was just not working out for anybody. But I mean, Chris Lancaster has come in and these boys are like, ride or die for the guy. And they're winning games. Like, us, even in the first game against University, which they lost, there was a point where you thought, oh my gosh, the Rockets are gonna beat University, right? And so, I mean, obviously, in the end, the Trojans kind of pulled through. There were just a few things that needed to be worked on, especially being the first game of the season. But I mean, Rockets are rolling right now. I do think that once they get into district play, there might be some more hiccups, some things that might pop up that maybe they weren't ready for. But at the end of the day, I think they've got a pretty good chance of coming out third place in the district. So,
Chad?
Oh, I'm going to be on the podcast too this week.
Oh, shut up.
No, hey, I really like the decisiveness and the insight from DJ there. She was right on point. Yeah, I mean, there's no question of the three of these, which one is sort of turning the program around and turning it in a new direction, because like she said, the direction Lorena and University are going, they have been going. I will say this, and Coach Kaeron Johnson told me on Friday night, he said, I had to just not mess things up when I got here. He said the players are here and they look good. I mean, they didn't play very good for a while the other night, and they still played good enough when it mattered. Here's the thing with the University, though, and Brice, this is one of my analogies. I hope this one lives up to it. It's the good kind instead of the bad kind. But the university football program is kind of like a car that you can't really rely on, Like
Okay.
it's been a clunker for a while, but yesterday it ran good all day, right? So you go out to the garage in the morning and you're like, okay, is it going to start up? You know, I mean, we put a new, a new carburetor on it, or yesterday or whatever. So is it going to start up? And sure enough, it's fired up and it's running. So, so you kind of breathe a sigh of relief in that sense.
Here's the thing. I would love to see what I would call the next Leroy Coleman era at university, meaning someone stick around for a while.
A long tenured coach.
Yeah. And I do think that Kaeron Johnson might be that guy, as a guy that has some ties to Waco. He played at Baylor. He was really excited to, he's been wanting to be a head coach. This is his first opportunity. And I think he's a good fit there. And so if he can stick around a while, they can build something, I think, at university. But I do agree with you guys that Lancaster certainly has taken the team that we probably had the least expectations about. And yes, it will be I think a pretty tough and competitive district once they get into district play with Gatesville and Conley and Salado and all those schools. But I think they can make the playoffs. And I said it before on here. I just think people in Robinson are starving for a winner in football. They've been wanting that a while, and so they'll do everything they can to keep him around a while as well. I will mention one other first-year coach. There's a few others that are doing good jobs. I just didn't include them in our little experiment. But you got to mention Robert Little at Riesel. Now, he's been at Riesel before, so this is not unfamiliar territory. But, Riesel's playing great. And then we don't talk as much about some of our far-flung six-man schools, but Cop Earl came out of friggin' nowhere this year. They're 3-2. They got a brand new coach. They always seem to have a new coach. But the Eagles are 3-2 and playing pretty good football.
Now, you know that we have a comprehensive high school football podcast when we hit on Cop Earl.
The Cop Earl Eagles, yes.
Right.
This might have been their first mention on the Super-Centex podcast. Put it that way.